And welcome to Tackle the Board. My name is Chris Exusion. You can find me at Chris Ebom on Twitter. And my co-host, if you don't know, here he is, the man, Russ Reese, the Vegas line reader. Russ, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. We had a tough weekend. I mean, there was a lot of canceled games, which was kind of crappy. Ended up going 1-2 in the bets, but literally probably won the last 6 weeks we've been putting out. I see our last 4 weeks were 21-7 the last 4 weeks. So definitely kicking the ass. Just a tough week last weekend. Cardinals didn't show up last weekend. I forget what the other loss was. A couple of teams, playoff teams that just didn't show up. But definitely going to get right back. I remember hitting a winner on Houston yesterday. I gave out for college football. You had a couple college plays that you didn't get in because of the canceled games. Who did you have there?
Yeah, so I loved Virginia this week, and they canceled the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. You know, that was a big one I actually really liked a lot. But I did throw out on Twitter. I really like Navy a lot, honestly. I thought that was a really good play. I liked them originally, but these service academies, they're typically usually good at covering games, especially for these bowl games. And Army didn't cover, which I absolutely loved Army. And they didn't cover. So I wrote it hard with Navy, and they ended up covering that game. So I was really happy with that. So, just playing the percentages. I mean, these service academies, they come out and play for these bowl games, and they cover a lot. So the fact that Army didn't cover, I was more than happy to take Navy. That Arizona Cardinals game, I could not believe that game. It was absolutely insane. That was the perfect spot. I'll tell you what. We didn't get the game, right? I'm betting that spot every time with that team, with that kind of, what's been going on with them and everything, getting that value. I'm taking the Cardinals all day. Like, I'll take that loss. I'm okay with that.
Last week was a great spot for the Cardinals, and now this week I'm going to have a perfect spot for us. So we'll talk about that later in the show when we get into the NFL picks. But I just gave out Maryland today. We were talking about college football. I ended up sending that out to my members. That spread was moving big time. Virginia Tech missing their starting quarterback, also missing some key players. You can jump on these bowl games with these key players out, and we just didn't get that on the show because this is a last-minute thing where Maryland just kicked their ass. The line moved at the last minute. So definitely get started with the NFL for this week, week 17.
Yeah, I mean, we got definitely a good amount of games for NFL. We're gonna bounce back real hard here. We got some really good spots here. So I'm playing some kind of spots that I typically wouldn't play, but I do like them here. But we're gonna get into a game that you brought up when we were talking about before we even started the show, for the most part, which I was kind of intrigued about. I was kind of looking at this game. I want to see where you're going at with this game. We got the Houston Texans at the San Francisco 49ers plus 12.5. The over/under, Russ, 44.5. Where are you going with this game?
Yeah, I got the Texans here. I'm taking the Texans team total under 16 points. So Texans, they're one of the worst teams in NFL, coming off 2 outright wins as underdogs, plus 13 last week, plus 6 2 weeks ago. And they ended up scoring 30 points and 41 points in those 2 games. This is a bad team that's just overachieving big time in these past 2 weeks. I do not like taking big spreads, so that's why I'm not taking the 49ers for this game. But I know that the Texans are going to struggle to score in this game. And Jimmy G, he got hurt this week. So I see the 49ers running the ball a lot more in this game. They're going to keep this a low-scoring game. Give me the Texans under 16 team total points here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about that at the end of the day. Them scoring a lot of points, especially last game where we didn't expect that to happen. And it was kind of crazy because the Chargers really didn't score as much as I thought they were going to score. I thought they would have put up at least a 40 burger against a whole secondary that was second teamers, and it was just a mass practice squad guys probably coming in there as well. They played way over their heads, winning outright. It's always good. We talk about this every week. If you're just catching the show now, I'm going to preach it again. I always preach it. You got to fade these teams that simply just they way overachieved. They're bad teams, and now they're getting public money. It's just outrageous. And the fact that they've been scoring so much, and we know how good San Fran's defense is for the most part. It hasn't been as stout as normal, but still, this is still the Houston Texans. This is a spot where they know they need to play good defense, run that ball, control that clock so they don't get points on the board. So I like where your head's at this game. So I can jump on board with you with that. So the next game that I wanted to get into as well, since we're going to go back right to the Cardinals at the Cowboys. Cowboys are -5.5. Russ, where are you going?
So we talked about I got the Cardinals here again. The public is going to give up on these guys, but I'm not giving up on them after they failed me last week. So the Cardinals, they're coming off 3 straight losses as favorites. And if this is a wild card team, they cannot lose 4 straight games here. Last week was a good spot that they just came out flat versus a favorite. I mean, they were a favorite in that game, is what I'm trying to say. This is a spot I love even better now that I have Kyler Murray in the underdog role. Where I think he will be using his legs a lot in this game. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago about Kyler. He's covered about 30% of his games in his career as a favorite. He was a favorite again last week. That's why they didn't cover. Now he's back in this underdog role where he is 15-8 in his career against the spread as an underdog. So give me the Cardinals here. Big game for Murray. I think he gets the cover. Even if they don't win, I think this game is close. So give me the Cardinals +5.5.
Yeah, I mean, how bad do the Cowboys need this game? Honestly, they don't need it that bad. They pretty much have the division locked up. They're going to have their home field advantage. This is more of a game for the Cardinals that they need to win. I mean, we saw this last week. That was a spot they needed to play, and the Colts just ran the ball on them pretty much the most part. And Kyler Murray wasn't himself. I was a little worried about him moving forward with the Cardinals and everything, but I like the fact that you're not jumping off the bus completely with this team. I mean, you can't be doing that. You know, it's week by week with these teams, you know, and we end up getting value. We talk about this every day. The line is predicated based on last week. That's just how it is. That's how it's always been. Now that the Cowboys are looking like the darling, they scored 1 billion points last week, scored 56 points or something outrageous. It was just like a perfect storm for them. Everybody remembers that. Everyone remembers that the Cardinals sucked. This is the time. So, yeah, I like the spot with the Cardinals as well. I'm right there with you. I can't knock you for the most part. I know Zach Ertz does have a hamstring injury. So we'll see what that comes out with that, because I know he's been liking throwing to him a lot without Hopkins there. So we'll see the situation there as well. As far as the defenses go, both teams have the advantage on defense. So if that's the case, I mean, Dallas has a DVOA of 8, but Arizona's defense is 5th on defensive DVOA. So I like the fact that Arizona's defense overmatches their high-powered offense, and that's the same thing with Dallas. Dallas is, believe it or not, the number 1 ranked DVOA defense in the NFL. It could be because a lot of the turnovers they cause and those kind of things, but overall, defenses will show up. 5.5 points is way too many points for this game. Cardinals are definitely a live dog, but 5.5 points is way too much. Overreaction from last week. We'll be more than happy to cash that.
Yep. All right, so we'll jump into your next game. You got the Broncos at the Chargers, and the Chargers are -5, and over-under's at 45. Who you got here?
All right, so I got a total here, actually. I love the under 45 here. So the Broncos here, they're coming off a 13-17 loss to the Raiders with Locke. I haven't heard anything about Teddy Bridgewater yet, but all I know is that Locke has not been able to produce for the most part. He has not been good. They've scored 13 and 10 points in his last 2 games he's played. And he scored the 1 lone touchdown that he came in against that Bengals game, which I absolutely love the Bengals that game for the most part. He's averaging 120 passing yards a game in those games against 23rd and 25th ranked defenses against the pass. So he's not doing well against teams that are really passing that well. I mean, as far as the defense goes, he's not even exploiting these defenses. He should be having a field day with that cannon arm and everything. So I don't know why the Broncos will be able to score here for the most part. The Chargers defense, we talked about off the pretty much off the air for the most part. Chargers defense looked absolutely terrible last week, and there was no reason for them to get diced up by the Texans. Absolutely embarrassing. We're getting value with the Chargers here, laying 5 here, but I think the defense will show up for this one here. Last time they did play, Denver won 28-13. Denver winning outright as a dog and the under of a total of 47. Now that it's at 45, the public's looking. They think this defense is Swiss cheese for the Chargers. I'm not buying into it. It's going to be another low-scoring affair. The under is 10-1 in their last 11 meetings at the Chargers, and the Broncos are 5-0 and under for the under as their last 5 as an underdog, and 4-0 in the under in their last 4 road games. Russ, give me the under in this game. It's going to be a dogfight. Chargers should be able to cover this game if I had to take a side, but give me the under 45.
Nice. Yeah, if I were to pick this, actually, I would be more with the Broncos taking their team total under, just because
Oh, okay.
I feel like the Chargers are going to come out to play after they lost to the Texans, a terrible team, and Locke's going to be starting here, so you never know if he's going to get some turnovers, could screw your over under. So if he's in
Right.
there, I think that they don't score enough, whatever the point total is for the Broncos. I would definitely probably go with their under, but definitely a smart play with the under there. Go with your next pick here. You got the Panthers at the Saints, -7. The over-under's at 39. Who you got here?
All right, Russ, this is a really ugly game. Okay. I get it. This is a game that people are probably going to really avoid. And for a reason I get, these are two bad teams, right? We just saw last week, Book was absolutely terrible. Pick six touchdown. He was a deer in headlights. The Panthers have been absolutely terrible, losing their last 5 outright and against the spread. They've just been absolutely terrible. Saints have been too. But Russ, there's no way the Saints should be laying 7 points to anybody in the NFL. And I mean, anybody. It doesn't even matter who's at quarterback. I mean, look at it. Saints have won their last 2 out of 3 covering the spread with those 2 victories they had in their last 3 games. That's why you're getting, a higher spread with this game. And the Panthers haven't covered. They've lost a bunch of games in a row, have not covered any of those games. You're getting absolute value with the Panthers. I know Darnold played last game. I think he's going to play this week again. But honestly, I don't care who's in there. I don't care if Cam's in there. I don't care if Walker's in there. It's not going to matter. The Saints average 6 points a game with 2 different quarterbacks. Their QB situation's horrible. Their last 2 games. Last 2 games, 6 points a game. Absolutely horrible. You're telling me they're going to cover a spread of 7? I know their defense is good, but this isn't the 85 Bears who are just going to shut you out, or like that Ravens team that just was on lockdown. That's not going to happen. The Panthers are second in the NFL in total yards allowed, 12th defensive DVOA. Their defense is not to slouch about. This over-under is low for a reason. I get that, but this is way too many points. Panthers have fared well in New Orleans. They're 16-5 against the spread in their last 21 games, and Carolina's ranked second in the NFL in DVOA defensively against running backs in the catching backfield, which Kamara has been good in that. They've been able to lock that down as well. So if you can lock in on a key weapon like Kamara, they're going to throw in the backfield. This 7 points, I'm all for it. I don't care. They haven't covered in forever. This is a great spot for them to cover. Everyone's off their bandwagons. Give me the Carolina Panthers getting 7.5 points. And I honestly, Russ, don't be shocked if they win this game outright. Okay.
I think the same thing, actually. I actually like this game. I like when you say, like, when people say, I love getting points or this is too many points. I always like to look at the spread to make sure there isn't injuries where a team's getting too many points. Looking at this spread, actually, the spread is pretty accurate for this game, actually.
It is.
So you saying that it's a lot of points is a good sign for you in this game. So it's nothing like no injuries or anything affecting your pick here. Definitely a solid pick with the Panthers here, which the spread should be 7. Definitely said before the season, still have the Saints under team total wins. So I'm hoping that they do lose this game outright, as they did get killed. We had the spot earlier in the season where we did take the Panthers against the Saints and they blew them out. So Panthers defense is solid. They should stop Taysom Hill, who's going to be back, which does not scare me as a favorite. -7, I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Hold on. So I have the TV on. Okay, I'm just going to cut to this real quick. I'm on the Cheez-It Bowl. These Clemson players, they just won. Clemson won the Cheez-It Bowl. All right. So they're all lined up like they won the national championship. They got this King Cheez-It guy with the scepter. He's in the middle. They're going like this with the Cheez-It guy. And they're getting Cheez-It boxes in this big barrel. Absolutely love it. I love bowl season. It's such a shame all these games are getting canceled because we had great spots left and right, but games are getting canceled. People are opting out last minute. It's just, it's a shame because the pageantry of college football is fantastic. Hate to cut you off. I'm watching.
No, you're good. Yeah,
I found it absolutely hilarious.
Definitely because I had a couple
so
games. I had some games eyed up for college football that got canceled, so I was definitely pissed. I actually liked UCLA. A lot of people were all over NC State. It seemed like
I loved UCLA that game too as well. I thought that was a great spot for the chipper.
Yeah. So, luckily we didn't get screwed with them, and the game went off, and then they ended up being +10 or something. So I'm on the side of I'm glad that they canceled the game. So
that was kind of like a thing with UTSA. When McCormick got out last minute, I really liked UTSA, but they ended up getting killed anyway. So that maybe it was a blessing in disguise. McCormick decided I'm just going to go to the draft, not even deal with it. But hey, guys, remember before I get into our next games, of course, comment Ask any questions. We're here. You have any games that you're concerned about? You're in survivors, anything else? Any of that good stuff here. Oh, here we go. My boy is going on here. See it, my boy. Are we on okay, boys? Russ, you want to touch up on this first?
Oh shit. Okay.
I'll tell you. I'll get on because he's my boy. See in the shot. I'm actually kind of on Oklahoma this game, to be honest with you. We got the resurrection of Bob Stoops over here coming here to coach one game. He doesn't care at all. He's just I remember seeing someone on Twitter. They said they're gonna do like a tequila kind of thing, and he's like, I don't even care. What are they gonna fire me? It doesn't even matter. He's gonna be free swinging. The playbook's gonna be out. Oregon. This was originally just gonna be a dud of a game. I think Stoops is gonna have a little fun here. He was just in the booth with Fox over here. Honestly, I really like the Sooners here. So I'm right there with you, Sia. We're gonna ride the Sooners. So I'm all about it.
Definitely, yeah. I'm glad you took over on that one because that Oklahoma game, I'm really just avoiding that game. It's a tough one because it's these favorites. Unless I'm getting these big COVIDs or injuries, it seems it seems like all the dogs have been covering a ton of these games, and that's usually how it goes in college football. But definitely not a fan of Oregon at all. And Oklahoma looks like they're the 16th ranked against the 14th ranked. You always love seeing that when they're -7 and they're ranked worse than Oregon. So definitely looks like a great teaser spot for people, which again, I don't like teasers, but I'm more of an underdog kind of guy. Look for the dogs, and that's just an avoid game. So glad you put that info out.
No, absolutely. And Stoops is going to go balls to the wall. He doesn't care. He's going to pull out all the stops, and he's going to try and kill this team. Maybe this might be an audition for him. Who knows?
Yeah, better coaching out there too.
Hey, he's the better coach, honestly. And on top of that, they might put up a lot of points this game. I would not be shocked. He's a wily veteran, and I absolutely love it. And thanks for checking in, Sia. He's one of my guys, especially in the DFS world and especially golf, which I'm super excited to get into after the football season. I'll talk about that more, as we go on towards the end of the season. But yeah, my man, Sia. Thanks for checking in.
Nice.
So, we're on to another game for you over here. Dolphins at Titans. Titans are laying 3.5 for us. Pretty interesting game after a pretty impressive Dolphins performance.
I feel like I've been on a break here for 20 minutes. I'm waiting for my next game, man. I'm looking at my chops.
People ask stuff. It's very important.
All right, my next game, I got the Dolphins +3.5 this week against the Titans. I've been saying this the past couple years with Tannehill, Chris. Whenever he's a favorite, I gave out the stat a couple weeks ago how it's not good. I forget what the spread was, but he covers like 40% of his games. Right. Still without Derrick Henry, this team just cannot put up points now. Facing a Dolphins team who's literally the hottest team in the NFL right now. Titans, they've scored 20 points or less these last 5 games. So everyone keeps betting these guys. I don't know why. I mean, this isn't the same stud team that was earlier in the season. They're just getting by with wins against the Jaguars, and then they just squeaked by last week, that underdog play against the Niners. They won by a field goal. But that's what I'm saying. When they win these games, they're close wins. They don't blow teams out. I can easily see this game being close. Titans, but are they going to put up 20 points again? I'll happily take the Dolphins trying to get 17 points in this game. I do not see them struggling at all here. I think the Dolphins stay hot and actually win this game outright. So give me the Dolphins +3.5 here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at what the Titans have done this year as a dog. They haven't been all that great for the most part. I mean, they lost. They just pulled off a win on a Thursday night, which pretty much came out of nowhere for the most part. I mean, this team has been kind of on the downfall. It's been a tale of 2 seasons for them.
That's how it is. The Titans and Colts are the type of teams that are just getting these turnovers in crazy games. Like Jimmy G turned the ball over, which gave the Titans that win. So, yeah, I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, that's good. But I'm just saying in general, like the Titans, they were just ripping teams apart in the first half. Now they're coming back to life, and when they've been dogs, they have not been good at dogs. So I mean, take it for what it is. I mean, now they're a favorite. I don't really like Tennessee in this spot. I mean, I honestly wouldn't bet the game per se, but like gun to my head, I probably would take Miami here getting the points here because I'm just not a believer in Tennessee, and they still have a lot of issues there. And I think I think Dolphins, they've been rolling. They've been a
Mhm.
good team of late. They had to rip off a few games. And it's making my total's still there, but it's barely
Yeah,
there.
that one will be close. Yeah, I
It'll
mean,
be a close one,
before,
closer than I
yeah,
thought it was going to be.
yeah, before the season started, the Dolphins were projected to
Mhm.
win 9.5 games. So the Titans are overachieving right now, and they're out without their best player. So what are they going to win 10, 11 games? I don't think so. This is just a spot where they see them losing to the Dolphins here.
Mhm.
Dolphins are red hot. Titans, even I said the last 5 games, they put up 20 points per game. The game before that, 6 games ago, they put up 23 against the Saints. That was when they had no team. They had Simeon and they had Mark Ingram as their quarterback and running back. Literally no offense at all for the Saints that game. So the Titans, this whole second half of the season, they're not doing anything.
Mhm.
And I don't judge teams by the first half because nobody comes out. Everyone comes out sloppy. Look at the
Right.
first half. I was laughing when everyone was making fun of the Chiefs. They're like, oh, this team, they're not going anywhere. Look at them now. They're going to be the first in the AFC. They're probably going to make the Super Bowl. And what happened? The whole first half of the season, all people did was talk about Patrick Mahomes. So that's why I don't buy into all the hot takes and all that talk because
Mhm.
I know where these teams are destined. I know what their stock is. They're going to win 12 games. That's what the Chiefs are. So I don't buy into just because they're go 3-3 on a little streak. I'm not going to buy into them being a bad team. So definitely think we're going to take the Dolphins here plus 3.5 though.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a great point. You don't listen to the noise. I think
Yep.
that's the most important thing at the end of the day. You've watched the shows. If you're fortunate enough to watch the show at the beginning of the season, we talked about a bunch of these teams where we felt how are they were going to be, and it's going to play out. And we were pretty much on top of this with a lot of the futures and everything, and where they were going to be for the most part, where we're projecting. Don't believe some of this recent biasy stuff. Once again, the lines are made on the recency. So very important to consider. But now I think we got to get into college football, Russ. I know these games are going to be a go. If they aren't a go, then NCAA football's in trouble. If they cancel these games, there's going to be fire, picket fences. It's going to go
Mhm.
crazy. The picket signs, everyone's going to be furious. A lot of money is going to be lost. So I know these games are going to be good to go. And you have a game to my heart, the Rose Bowl, Pac
Mhm.
12. Big Ten champions going at it. Ohio State, Utah. Utah's getting 4.5. Rose Bowl, January 1st, 5 p.m. Russ, where are we going for the granddaddy of them all?
Yep, Ohio State versus Utah. I got Utah plus 4.5 here.
Mhm.
This was a game I talked about last week on our show. I had this game eyed up when I was giving out that Western Kentucky to score the most points in all the bowls. It was like
Oh, yeah.
42 to 1.
I have that
Yeah,
ticket.
exactly. So Ohio State was the favorite to win that for most points scored, but this team is just not motivated, and they're going to be missing players here. So the spread for this game, actually, I have see the numbers here. Ohio State should be -7.5, and right now it's at -4.5. So the spread has dropped 3 points. I love when this situation happens. Taking a deeper look into the game, we got Ohio State. They're going to be without their second and third best wide receivers.
Mhm.
They're also going to be without their left tackle, who's actually going to be projected in the first round of the NFL draft. Ohio State didn't win the Big Ten championship, so this is just a classic letdown spot where they're just not going to be motivated for this game. I see this all the time. I remember years back, there was like an Alabama against Oklahoma. There's always big games like this where the
Mhm.
team loses the big game. They do not care about this. Would you get excited to play Utah if you were Ohio State? No
I
way.
mean,
Just looking at the game, it
yeah.
doesn't excite me. I'd be like, oh, I'm playing Utah here. No offense to Chris, who he went to Arizona, but when I see the Pac-12, nothing scares me. I don't get motivated for the Pac-12.
Well, hold on. Before we get into that, anyway, the Rose Bowl is a big deal. All right. I mean,
Mhm,
honestly, it's a big championship. There's a lot of prestige with it. I get it.
mhm,
It's not the college football playoff, and I understand. Like I'm a big condoner of you know college football playoff for nothing for the most part, unless you're just a shittier team and you're just trying to get like a win and have a little trophy you can put in there for the Cheez It Bowl or whatever. It doesn't matter. But I think the Rose Bowl kind of has a higher standard. I mean, I don't know if it's such a slouch of a game for Ohio State. Like, don't get me wrong, like their expectations were through the roof. They should have been in the college football playoff. But I don't think it's gonna be that much of a push off for the most part. But I would have to lean Utah here. This line dropping like this, there's some definitely sharp money coming in, to say the least. Utah is 5-1 against the spread versus a team with a winning record, so they have stepped up to the plate. They played Oregon twice this year, which they were pretty much dogs both times. And excuse me, I think they were a favorite at home. They were a small favorite at home, which they annihilated. But then they were a dog in the championship, I believe, the Pac-12 championship in Vegas, and that was a spot where everyone's like, Oregon's going to get the revenge. And then it was just the same old song and dance, like they slow down the ball, Oklahoma pick, and we're moving. We're going to get the Stoop show going a little bit. So I just had to throw that in there real quick for my boy Sia. But overall, Utah is playing hard. Defense has been stout. The quarterback play's been good. The run game's been excellent. I'm right with you with the Utes. I think they win this game outright, actually. And Pac-12 will get a little bit of glory here. So give me the Utes.
I took a little quick look real quick, pulling up some Pac-12 versus Oregon. I'm sorry, Pac-12 versus Big Ten in these situations for the Rose Bowls. Last year, Oregon won by a point to Wisconsin.
Okay.
2 years ago, we had Washington. They only lost by 5 to Ohio State. That was 2 years ago.
Well, Ohio State was the half,
all the other years, looks like USC 2017 beat Penn State. Stanford beat Iowa the year before that. Then a couple of years before that, Michigan State beat Stanford by 4. So at least when these Pac-12 teams play, the games are close or they're winning outright. So definitely not seeing any kind of blowouts here for the Pac-12 side in these games at all.
No, not at all. And I know my dog upstairs, Lulu, she's sleeping right now, but that dog's barking. This dog in Utah is definitely barking over here.
That's what I forgot to throw in, because this game, when I see a spread movement of 3, this is going to be a play I'm sending out to all my VIP guys. So
absolutely,
whoever's watching the show right now, I'm getting this in right now because I'm scared that this is actually going to go to like 3.5 in this game. It's only going to drop. This is a sharp play right here if you guys are betting this game.
Oh, 100% of this. And I'm actually really shocked it's been dropping that much for a team like Ohio State, who's been super dominant, but you know what, the last couple games hasn't really shown their true colors. I mean, this is that Michigan game really dropped their stock a lot. I mean, that was a big deal, that Big Ten championship. I mean, the Michigan just showed up, well, I mean, they were just good in general, Michigan, against them. So that's where I'm at with these games, with that game in general.
Nice. All right, so we got the 2 big games left. I'm going to throw those games over to you. So the first one's going to be the Cotton Bowl on Friday, 3:30 Eastern time. Cincinnati versus Alabama, minus 13.5, and the over-under's at 57.5. Who you got here?
All right, Russ. I know everyone's going to bet these games. Like, this is just how it's going to be, Everyone's betting these games, and I had to cover these games, and I do feel really strongly about these games. This game, Alabama, Cincy, 13.5, over under 57.5. Big deal. Alabama hasn't been dominant in years past. We watch them all year round. Everyone's like, oh, the close wins against LSU, this and that. They finally showed their dominance. They finally flexed some muscle against the Georgia team that rolled the entire year. So people were jumping immediately on the Alabama bandwagon. But Cincy, no slouch, has answered the call. They've been going undefeated. They needed to do what they did. Teams were losing, so that helped them as well, especially defensively, showing their dominance. I mean, the over-under is one of the lowest for Alabama this year, despite the Georgia game, because Georgia's defense was so good, but they ended up scoring a bunch of points on Georgia and showing who they really were. So when I'm looking at for the secondary for Cincinnati, they got 2 studs, Ahmed Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant. They've been the staple of the secondary. They're the 2 best corner duo in the entire country. I know Bama's nasty, and Cincy really hasn't had the strongest schedule in the world. I mean, they play Notre Dame, whatever. But these corners are no joke. They can match up with anybody in the country. And now they have a veteran QB in Desmond Ridder throwing for over 3K yards, 30 touchdowns. He's also second in the team in rushing yards behind their bell cow, Jerome Ford, who has 19 TDs. I mean, we all know Bryce Young, fantastic freshman, Heisman winner, all this good stuff. I mean, typically when we see these Heisman winners in the semifinals, they don't typically play that well. I mean, Burrow was like kind of the exception, I believe. I think he might have been the only exception because he was just that good and he was just setting records left and right. But these Heisman winners, they haven't played that well in the semis. I get it. They've been fantastic. Bama will be without Michi. He's done for the year, one of their top wide receivers, but they should still, next man up for them for the most part. The under is 4-0 in the Bearcats in the last 4 neutral site games as an underdog. And the under is 5-0 in the last 5 Alabama semifinal games. And 4-1-1 in the under in their last 6 neutral games as a favorite. They don't blow out teams in these semifinal games. I mean, the under, well, if they do, the other team's not scoring. So the total stays really low. And we got somebody checking in. Jason, he says, I like Cincy in the points. What's your thoughts? I think that's a great question. I actually want to wait on this line. If Alabama scores that first touchdown, goes up 7-0, I'm immediately jumping on Cincy. Because if I can get over a touchdown and a half with these guys, they're gonna cover that game. And I'm super confident about it. So I would wait on Cincy. Don't bet them now. Unless you can get them at 14.5 in some books. Don't pay the juice to get over to it because it's not worth it. Bama could go up 7-0 early and make a statement early. And I have no problem. I'm actually kind of rooting for that because I will jump on Cincy immediately. So, but overall, I love the under 57.5. Both these teams are going to play real tough. Alabama's not looking to kill anybody. They just want to get out of Dodge. They want to win the game. They don't have to get style points. They win, they're in. Give me the under 57.5, Russ.
Nice. Yeah, this is actually a real tough game to me because I'm looking and it's showing me that the spread should be like 9 or 10 for this game. So seeing it at 13.5, but that's why I don't know, because this is a type of game that they would overvalue Alabama because, when it comes to the playoffs, everyone's going to be betting Alabama. So definitely, I don't trust Alabama 13.5, but also I've been on the side of taking the smaller team against the big team and those teams just getting crushed. So that's when it comes to the bowls. I don't know that much about Cincinnati. I mean, we had that great spot when they faced Notre Dame just because I knew Notre Dame was going to be good this year. We took them. Spot. But they just don't give me the sample size of seeing them against all the big teams. That's why this is a type of game that I always try to avoid. This would be great if it was like one of those smaller games where it's that school that they look down to and they kick, like UCF used to always kick everyone's ass because no one ever cared. But this is the playoff. Both teams care. Both teams are going to come out to play. So definitely a tough spot here. But how do you not grab the points in this type of game, though?
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? I'm looking for value at the end of the day. If you can't get 14.5, I can almost be certain that Bama scores first in this game. Like, I think Bama's defense, they've been clicking, especially against Georgia. They could definitely stop them, get that ball, or have the ball and score right off the bat. Saban could write up a beautiful script to get this party started. They're up 7-0 right off the bat. I am absolutely taking the Bearcats when that jumps up. I'm going to be curious how much the book gives us. If they only give us like 15.5, that might be even more of a double play to put on there. I mean, that's even a sneakier play if it's only 15.5 after a touchdown. I'll be curious what the books do with it if they do score first, but I love the under in this play. I think the under is definitely a play. Bama's not looking to murder anybody here. They just want to win the game, get out. There's no style points needed. It's just win and get in, and 57 is the perfect spot here.
Definitely. Yeah, and then Alabama doesn't know much about Cincinnati too. So you got a team that doesn't know much about this style of play as Cincinnati. Everything's going to be different to them. So who knows what's going to happen here. But I'm definitely going to jump into the last game here. We got Michigan at Georgia. The spread's at 7.5 and the over-unders at 45.5. Who you got here?
Yeah, so I got a team here. I like Michigan here plus 7.5. Hear me out here, though. Georgia's been dominant all year round, except for the SEC championship loss. Michigan's been one of the biggest surprises, in my opinion, in college football. We talked about one of the first weeks of college football. I absolutely loved Western Michigan with those points, and they got absolutely smashed against Michigan. That was like a spot I absolutely loved. I was ranting about it left and right. I was like, this is a great MAC team that like should win the MAC, ended up underachieving beyond belief. But that's a whole nother story, a whole nother show. But Michigan, they got the new defensive coordinator. There's question marks with Harbaugh, not be able, build this program. It's taken 6 years. That's a long time for coach. Has got a lot of leeway, especially with him here. And now the team's turning around for the most part. The run game's been great for Michigan. It's been a two-headed monster with Haskins and Curum combining for over 2K rushing yards and 21 TDs. McNamara, upperclassman, hasn't done a whole lot. Game manager. But it's good to have that upperclassman. He's only had 4 INTs this year, so he's not going to make too many mistakes. He's not going to be put in too many bad spots. Georgia has been great. I get it. My only concern is Stetson Bennett. Okay. His colors were fine. His true stripes were shown against a team that was pretty much up to their level, and he did not look good. I mean, yeah, the big games consisting of Kentucky and Arkansas, they were both at home, and I was comfortable for him. He had decent games there. But will there be a JT Daniels signing? I think there will be. This is kind of like a spot. I hate to bring this up because if people don't know, I had Georgia against Alabama. I absolutely loved them that year. And then because Hurts was playing, and I'm like, there's no way Hurts can do anything against this Georgia team. All of a sudden, Saban throws a curveball, throws 2 in the second half, no footage on this guy, and he just rips them apart. So I think they might take something out of their old playbook over here. So I really do like Michigan here for the most part. I don't know if he's going to be able to play well against this Michigan defense. And then Jason checking, Michigan's going to be a hard out with that defense. Absolutely. I could not agree more. Both defenses are great. Don't get me wrong. Georgia's #1 defensive rating and Michigan's 10th, but they are nasty. And Georgia is ranked 3rd in offensive rating, and so is Michigan 6th. But I think the real deciding factor is what has been going on here. And I think that's important. When they have somebody to their competition, which I think Michigan is, 7.5, it's way too much. And I honestly, once again, I wouldn't be shocked if they won this game. I mean, this is kind of a weird year. I think 7.5 is way too much here. Michigan's 4-0 against the spread. Their last 4 games fallen against the spread win. And then they also have the advantage in the red zone over Georgia, which people don't know. They have the better red zone numbers. That's better for scoring touchdowns, scoring points, all that stuff. So give me the Wolverines plus 7.5. I can't believe I'm saying this against a Georgia team that's been fantastic, but the time is now for Big Blue.
Yeah. I mean, this is a game where I do not see Georgia losing this game at all, but I do think Michigan can keep it close. So
Okay.
I've had Georgia. I love that Georgia lost to Alabama last game because that made me love Georgia to win it all even more. I don't want the team being undefeated.
You do get more value with them. I do agree with that.
They're going to lose the game, want revenge, a pissed off best defense in the whole college football, getting revenge from the last loss to Alabama. I just see Georgia winning this championship easily. Look at this freaking defense, man. You do not see a defense like this. What are they?
Yeah, it's pretty rare. I agree with that.
13 points per game or something. It's absolutely absurd. They've been crushing teams. You start crushing teams the whole time. They faced a really good team in Alabama and they got surprised. So they got surprised there. They're going to come back with this long rest here. This team's going to be fired up. This defense is just too good. But for this game in particular, I would just bet all over the under here. I just do not see anyone that Georgia's going to be smart enough to not make any mistakes, and Georgia's defense is way too good. I think they're going to shut down Michigan. So this is one of those things I could just see like a 20-17 type of game. It's going to be one of those ugly games. And then the other game I could see like Alabama being that high scoring game, and like they'll see Alabama like say put up 40 in that game, and they'll be like, oh, I love Alabama here. And Alabama end up being favored by like 2 or something in the game. I'm going to grab the points. I'm saying it now before we even, because I already got this championship locked in. I mean, I'm not going to see no Cincinnati or Michigan in the championship. I don't see it. I know. I just see these 2 teams being the cream of the crop here of the whole season. I do Michigan all of a sudden just because they beat Ohio State. Oregon beat Ohio State. So I'm not.
Valid point.
Yeah, because Ohio State was going off killing. They went through that run of killing teams, so that's what made this Michigan win even bigger, because if Ohio State wasn't killing those teams those 4 weeks, we wouldn't be talking about all over Michigan. But
I don't think you should completely sleep on Michigan. I'll be honest with you. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Georgia. All right, don't get me wrong. Georgia should win this game. It wouldn't shock me if Michigan wins because they've just been playing so well for the most part. Oh, and by the way, Oklahoma scored a 20-yard rushing touchdown. They missed the extra points, so Stoops for now on will go for 2 the rest of the game to score a 70 burger on these guys. So I think that okay game is going to be okay for the Sooners.
Yeah, no one scored yet or what?
No, they just scored it. Oklahoma
just scored. Okay, because my thing didn't update.
And Oklahoma just drove down the entire field running the rock and everything. Stoops is gonna this is gonna be fun for Stoops. Like, I'm glad my boy Sia brought this up because this is a great spot. It's just, there's some games you're doing so much handicapping and there's been so much dropping off of games. This is a sneaky little play over here. I mean,
No,
seven's a lot. It's high for
yeah,
a
and
reason.
we didn't even talk about this. Like, he brought up this game or whatever, but I wasn't even thinking. Oregon, they lost the Pac-12 championship, so this is what we're talking about. Teams that lose that
Correct.
championship game, now this team doesn't care even more. So
Even more.
they might have talked to us right at the great spot here. We got a live line here.
Oh, let me check real quick. Hold on, let me check. I'm checking a live line right now because this is good information for the
Who
people.
knows? They could be up to minus 10.5 now ever since they scored the touchdown first.
Yeah, well, scored a first touchdown. So let me just see. The people can wait. We'll let them wait a little bit. I gotta let the wheels turn a little bit. We'll keep everything going. But while that's going on for the most part, just a recap. I like Michigan plus the 7.5. I love the under 57.5. I think both games can go under. I totally agree with that as well. Now that I'm looking at the live line right now, 10.5 Oklahoma. Yep. So that's kind of where we're at. You're gauging that line as soon as they score that touchdown, being a 7-point favorite, which makes sense. Typically, it goes up 3.5 points after a touchdown if they're already a 7.5-point favorite. So I don't know. This looks like kind of a route kind of game for Oklahoma because Stoops is just going to be balls to the wall. Like, he has no fear in this game. Like, what are they going to do? Fire me? Like, they just threw him in there for this game. Like, he's going to go crazy.
Yeah, there's certain games that you could tell by the halftime line. Like, you could tell the odds makers are a little fishy because that Maryland game, the spread was literally 4 points for the game. They're up like 2 touchdowns at half. They're literally like minus 16.5. So they didn't think that Virginia Tech was coming back at all for them to be favored that much. And the spread they're only a -4 favorite in that game. So usually, I mean, for basketball, when you see big favorites, you'll see that the underdog, they're favored by pretty big to come back in the second half. So definitely some fishy lines you can see sometimes. If it looks too good to be true, it always is.
It always is, because you know what? At the end of the day, casinos don't get built based on giving people money. That's the number one thing. So to recap everything, which I was going to recap, Russ loves the Texans under the team total. He also likes the Cardinals plus 5.5. I love the under in the Chargers-Broncos game, 45. I also love the Panthers plus 7. Way too many points against the Saints. Russ loves the Dolphins plus 3.5. He also loves the Pac-12 darling, Utah Utes, plus 4.5. And we're going to the big games, which everyone's going to bet. I mean, if you bet games, you're going to bet these games. Like, what are you doing if you're not going to bet these games? We take the under. It's not the sexiest of plays. Under 57.5. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even say this before. The kicker for Cincinnati is banged up. I'm not sure if he's going to play. So that means they're going to be going for it a lot on fourth down if that kicker's not ready to go. So that's even better for the under. And I also like the Big Blue plus 7.5. I don't care what Russ says about Georgia there. They can win that game. But I think they're
I was saying they're not losing that game. That's all I'm saying. That's all
I know. I got a little bullish with the win with the Big Blue. But you know what? It's a crazy season. But I like the plus 7.5. I think they're going to definitely keep this game close. But that'll do it for us, guys. My name is Chris Exusion. You can find me at Chris Ebom on Twitter. Always betting everything, always rising and firing, if you will. We got football going on. We got golf coming on afterwards. I got big things going on after this football season. Stay tuned for that. But Russ has always got big things going on. You can find him at the Vegas Line Reader. He's got his site. He's got all his plays. He's been crushing it all year with his big plays. Russ, tell him about it.
Definitely. When we do the show, I always got my eye on my big play that I sent out. So it ended up hitting on Auburn. Started the game off 18-1 run. And then, of course, the game became close, but then they pulled away again. But 40, I can't even keep track, 44-19. I'm on a run right now, red hot. Jason knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Making money. So going to keep making money. Football, basketball, all sports, guys. Don't hesitate to message us. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And we're going to do another show next week, which should be week 18. Excited. We're going to make some money this week, and we're going to kick some more ass next week, guys. So make sure you follow the picks because last week was actually just an average week for us. We didn't do anything. Whenever that happens, guys, we come right back and we win. So make sure you get these picks in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And Jason, thank you for watching, man. We appreciate the support. Definitely. Thank you guys for always watching, subscribing, liking. That helps us a long ways. hey, we've been handicapping this whole season. It's only going to get better, especially towards the end of the season and the playoffs and with the national championship and all this good stuff. I'm super excited, Russ. We're going to go out with a bang. I cannot wait. What an awesome season. Hey, Russ, let's tackle this board. Let's go make that money.
Let's get that money.